Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and today I have a very special interview because, as you guys may have heard, in the past 48 hours, Progress Wrestling and Defy Wrestling have announced a merger between the two promotions, and it's created a big buzz in the world of independent wrestling. So today I've got one half of the Progress Wrestling ownership to come and talk to us to break that all down, and that is Lee McAteer. How are you today, Lee?
I'm good, Ben. Thank you. As you can probably tell, I'm a little kind of running on fumes after what's been an absolutely insane / crazy few days. A lot of traveling. Got back from Seattle very late last night. Currently in Orlando. So yeah, lots going on, but absolutely unbelievably excited for everything that's to come. And yeah, just so happy that we can now announce it all to the world after everything that's been happening behind the scenes.
It's a super exciting time for Progress Wrestling. And a couple of months ago, I went to one of your events and I wrote an article and I did a video on it. And I spoke about, how the beauty of Progress Wrestling is kind of how it feels like a family. It kind of feels like, it's not a secret, but something where, people come together. A lot of people know each other who go there. And it really does. Like, family is the perfect word to describe it. And I'm kind of, I'm wondering, with this merger now, is the idea kind of for you guys that maybe you could build like a bigger web of promotions where you have Progress Wrestling in the UK, Defy Wrestling in Seattle, of course, and is there a plan to, add more promotions to this, or is it to stay as, just the two?
Wow, well, obviously a lot of great questions there, Ben. So again, forgive me my kind of sleep deprived state. I mean, I always said, when Martin and I took over Progress, it was a longer term plan. We obviously needed to bring the brand back. No one had seen it live for quite a while. There was obviously issues behind the scenes, which everybody knows, all about, that we obviously inherited and then dealt with accordingly. And now we're starting to be able to get into our groove in terms of showing really where our ambitions are. And we've obviously got a good relationship with a number of promotions out there, but we had our eye on Defy for quite a while, to be honest with you, and all the stuff they were doing and everything else that they stood for, how professional they were, how buzzy it was, and I knew a decent amount about Defy only from my ex-girlfriend living in Seattle, so I knew a lot of stuff that was kind of happening around there and the buzz of it all. And I always said, probably internally, I don't think I really said much externally, that for Progress to really kind of get to that next level, it needed to have global aspirations and global ambitions. And I think a lot of people just thought, okay, well, it's all well and good. It's a sound bite to try and get some buzz for promotion or whatever. But we've obviously kind of put our money's where our mouths are. And now we're a collective organization. And, from being there live in Washington Hall, seeing Defy and helping, kind of being with Farmer and Jim, who are just absolutely, I mean, they are incredible. I can't even begin to tell you how good these guys are. And then, of course, like the surprises with Eddie Kingston making his return to the independents and everything else in between. We didn't want to come into this to just kind of to just keep, dare I say it, yeah, so tired, sorry, man. But we're so passionate about this, and we really want to make it work. And we're just so fortunate to be able to now have Defy as part of the Progress family. We've obviously got a great relationship with the likes of TNT Extreme Wrestling, W3L. We are talking to other organizations behind the scenes. So, it's a really exciting time to be a part of it all. And to be honest with you, it's a really exciting time to be part of wrestling, full stop.
Yeah.
And for us to be able to, what is now probably one of the largest independent promotions in the world now, with all the other things that we're doing, it's exciting. And yeah, I'm very humbled to be a part of it, to be honest.
No, it really does, sound like an exciting time for Progress Wrestling. I'm very interested as well about, what exactly this merger, means between the two. Are you guys gonna now merge the management structure between the two companies, or are they gonna remain separate? And like, or is there gonna be like a parent company, or something like that? I know similar. Back in the day, with like Wrestle Travel, within you had a company called Invasion, and that was kind of like a parent company to those other companies within it. Is that something what you're trying to do now within wrestling, or will they remain separate?
I mean, again, it's some really good questions there. I mean, yeah, I mean, Wrestling Travel was very much under what was Invasion Camp Group. I mean, there's a number of reasons for that. Mostly because of the Abto and Atoll travel bond licenses, and also just without trying to bore people kind of commercially, sometimes it's a more efficient structure to have it in a group.
Mm.
With us, the main company, there will be one main company, but there will be spin-offs within all of that. We've got no intention of, for example, getting rid of, say, the Progress name or getting rid of the Defy name. We're very much of the intention that both brands are to flourish and to keep moving forward. We're obviously really, really excited to bring Defy to what will be Demand Progress Plus, but this is obviously going to take a bit of time to get everything moving forward. I mean, just to kind of put into perspective, by the time we actually signed the deal, we actually signed it, I think it was about 2:30 in the morning. No, it was 2:30 in the morning. It would have been about, because Martin was in, he was in the UK. We were in the Hilton Hotel next to the airport for Seattle Tacoma. I think we signed it around about 1:00 in the morning of the actual show day. So that wasn't to say that everything wasn't necessarily agreed, but just in terms of like the fundamentals of getting everything through the door. So there's still a huge amount that we need to look at and sort out between us. And I'm not trying to duck the question. I'm really, really not. I'm just genuinely being honest with you. But in terms of your original question for Invasion and Wrestling Travel, is that yes, there will be one main parent company, and then there will be others that kind of fit in underneath that.
Yeah.
Ben, I wasn't expecting to talk about Invasion or Wrestling Travel in this call.
No, it certainly is. It's a very exciting time. Like what we're saying about wrestling right now, and I think there's always been kind of a fear within. Well, we saw it a few years ago in British wrestling, where like a lot of the talents were, of course, ended up going to WWE when NXT UK started, and I mean the fact now that. Well, they multiple companies could perhaps, come together and work together. So then there's, people can travel to different places and the relationship that it brings. I think that could, be very, very healthy for the independent wrestling scene. And I'm certainly very excited to see what you guys do.
Let me take you up on that point, Ben. Okay. So, for example, and again, I'm sorry, this is obviously revealing a bit behind the curtain, right? But coming back to those global aspirations, you've obviously seen that we're going to be doing, that Progress has got a show at the Collective before WrestleMania 40. We've obviously got Defy, so we've got 2 shows now that are going on the Collective. But of course, for us to be able to do that, you have to have the visas in place, and the visas cost a lot of money. And we want to do things, by the book, and we want to protect the talent that are going over there. And what probably people might not necessarily understand or realize is that when, for example, let's say, like a Mustafa Ali, for example, comes to Progress, there's certain ways that you've got to go about doing that. That for example, like certificates of sponsorship and all sorts of different like tick boxes to be able to get someone to work legally in the country. But in America, it's a much, much more difficult process to be able to get somebody to work there legally. So this is something that we've been working on for a long time, and actually, we thought that it was going to happen for last year's WrestleMania, actually. And for one reason or another, it didn't happen, which was very frustrating. But now we're able to offer talent American visas, which might, what I hope, and I'm talking about the entire British wrestling scene, is like almost kind of rise all the boats together. So with them having an American visa, it means that they might be able to go on to WWE NXT. They might be able to go on to TNA Wrestling. They might be able to go on AEW. Whereas a lot of the talent have not been able to do that within America. Now they're going to be able to do that because of the visas that Progress and by default Defy are now offering as a combined scenario. So we're able to offer global aspirations, not just to us commercially, but also to the talent to be able to say, actually, with Progress, there's a legit way of me being able to get to America legally. And by doing all of that, it means that there's going to be more eyeballs on that particular talent. So my hope is that once, for example, we've done our show at WrestleMania, the Collective, and other things that we've got planned, is that when they do come to the UK, you know, regardless if it's Progress or not, or maybe they're on TNT or ICW, who knows, whatever, right? Is hopefully there'll be more eyes on the talent globally, which then hopefully brings all the boats rising up together, which grows the scene together. Because I'm a great believer that there is enough room out there for everybody. You know, I'm not one of these people that, oh, it's like, you know, rivalry here, a rivalry there. I really, really don't, because, you know, my main priority is, and, you know, some of the things I inherited, I just want to make sure that the talent are looked after, the welfare's there, and it's in a professional environment. And I know that isn't very sexy, it's a bit boring, but for me, that was always the fundamental foundation of what we wanted to get in place first, before we could then move on to some of the more sexier items, for example, merging with Defy.
No, that does. I mean, that is the right way to go about it. Of course, you know, if you got to build the foundation in order for it to be, you know, able to support the things to be built on top of it. And now you're able to, you know, start, you know, planting those first bricks. And yeah, it's certainly an exciting time indeed. I mean, we just mentioned WWE, and of course, Progress was previously on the WWE network. And almost every time at Wrestling Republic, when I mention Progress Wrestling, we get like a few DMs of people asking us, you know, why isn't it on the WWE network anymore? I was wondering if you could give any insight into that.
I can, to an extent. Obviously, you know, some of it I can't talk about, just without trying to sound like Bruce Pritchard from yesterday or whatever it was. Yeah, we obviously inherited the WWE deal. One of the things that I wanted to have happen is I wanted Progress to go live on the network, and there was, you know, and Fight TV also wanted us to be live, and to see if there was a deal to be had between all of that. But, you know, the thing is that, you know, to quote, you know, Bischoff from I think a couple of days ago, is that, you know, WWE is so much bigger than everybody else that trying to get certain things over the line is not because they're necessarily being difficult, but it's just because there's so many more people and so many more scenarios you've got to go through to try and make these things happen. And I just felt that for Progress to be able to flourish, people needed to be able to see it live. And we have been testing behind the scenes since unboxing, being able to actually go live. So watch this space in terms of what that looks like. But of course, you know, these things do take time. But, you know, we've got a great relationship with WWE. I was with some people from WWE having drinks with them a couple of weeks ago. But again, it's probably no different to people having, you know, relationships with other companies in different sectors and stuff like that. But obviously they were merging with UFC. You know, we were made aware of some of their plans. But no, I mean, there's no animosity between us and WWE. We've got a great relationship there. But, you know, generally, you know, we want to have a great relationship with everybody. I know that sounds really a bit blasé, but, you know, for us, we want to be able to put on the very best shows we possibly can do. And if that's bringing people in from wherever, then, you know, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, that does make a lot of sense, and it does sound great as well. And of course, now Demand Progress, because I know you guys revamped that as well. That is, it's a platform now which you obviously you guys own, and you said Defy is going to be on there too. I mean, do you see that as an advantage over perhaps being on somebody else's streaming platform?
100%, because what you don't necessarily see is that if you're on a different platform, you don't get all the data that you need. So, for example, we had no idea how many people were subscribing to, how many people were, we didn't know, for example, again, you've got to bear in mind, Ben, we inherited a lot of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
This isn't me to, you know, burying John Briley or whatever, far from it. But, you know, we inherited the network deal, we inherited Pivot Share, and we knew Pivot Share wasn't, I mean, Pivot Share, it was what it was, but it was a nightmare to deal with, to the point that we didn't even know who our subscribers were. We had no idea. Wow. So from a pure like customer perspective, to be able to try and help people out, or if there was a problem or an issue, it was like pulling teeth. You know, it was very, very difficult. And then literally, we get the exact same notice that everybody else had, it seemed, even though, again, this isn't bravado, but they said to us that we were their largest client on the platform. Literally, it's like, oh yeah, we're closing it down. Right, okay. It's just, so it was a very, very difficult few months in terms of like, we've obviously, where can you watch progress, everything else. So now we're in a position where we've got our own platform where we can offer that also to other promotions, and obviously with TNT, a couple of weeks ago for Merseyside Massacre, DOA, we successfully went live on that platform, which was brilliant. So fair play to those guys, and big fan of Jay Apter and all the guys at the TNT. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a platform in which and this probably is a bit of a blasé phrase, but the reason for the plus is because it's not just progress. The plus means that it's other promotions, and hopefully there'll also be a number of other things that will also end up on the platform as well. So for example, like documentaries. I mean, we're working on a lot of other stuff behind the scenes to really kind of offer that plus side of it. So obviously watch this space in terms of what might happen next.
That is very exciting indeed. I'm a subscriber of Demand Progress. I'm excited to see, where it goes, and especially the possibility of live shows, as you stated. Another thing which I found quite interesting is on the Progress Wrestling website, you guys post like WWE news essentially at times. And I was wondering, what was the reasoning behind that?
Well, we've got a really good relationship with our fans, right? And a lot of the fans are looking for certain aspects of news and things in between. So, I mean, it's not just WWE, it's AEW, TNA. Again, what we're trying to do is that we're trying to be an organization that embraces what's going on in the wider realms of wrestling. And that's one of the reasons for it, is purely to be able to, instead of just having a website that isn't necessarily updated all the time, is that we're trying to give people more reasons to come back and see us, read more about progress, and actually be a service that actually offers, again, the word plus rather than just progress itself. And whether that's promotions that we've got relationships with or promotions that we own, it's trying to be almost like a full service wrestling organization that kind of covers all bases.
Well, that is certainly interesting, and you guys are certainly doing it well. I mean, of course, here at Wrestling Republic, we post news and everything, and a lot of the time when I'm looking through, the search rankings and stuff, I'm seeing progress right at the top about like WWE news and stuff. So you guys are doing an excellent job on that end. But back to now specifically progress and the future of progress. Obviously, there's a lot of free agents in wrestling right now, but is there like one or a couple of names who are free agents who haven't wrestled in progress before, who you'd love to see step in between those ropes?
Yes, and we've not announced them yet, and they should be at Super Strong Style 16.
Oh, that does sound very exciting indeed. Of course, your annual tournament, and that is always a lot of fun. Well, just before we wrap things up, we've spoken a lot about, about progress and Defy and the merger together, but where do you, I know it's a common question and it's a very difficult question to really answer, but do you have any idea where you see that brand in 5 years' time with, both entities merged together, possibly new ones as well? Any idea?
Gosh, I mean, that's a massive question in terms of where I see it in the next 5 years or so. For us, we want to continue to grow. We're obviously developing a really interesting relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah, which so there's going to be some. I'm really excited about how that relationship is going and how that relationship is moving forward. But our big thing is that we've got to be entertaining the fans. That's first and foremost. And for me, I can't look any further forward than the next show, whether that's Defy, Progress, TNT, whatever it may be. Obviously, the next big show is, obviously I've got some genuine personal feelings on it, but it's Spike Trivet versus Kid Lycos, February 25th in the steel cage. Is this the end of Dominatus? Is this literally them cementing their place at the very top of Progress Wrestling? or can Lycos finally win the big one? And it's, you know, it's been really heated. You know, I've had, you know, it's, you know, it's obviously fairly obvious in terms of you know, some of the stuff with Spike and everything else like that. You know, but obviously he's gone through the steel cage before with Cara Noir. He's taken Lycos's mask. He's literally become the identity thief. But you know, Lycos will he? You know, as one person said the other day, will Lycos finish the Tory?
That's gold. That is great.
I know. I'm not taking credit for that, but that's what someone said to me. You know, as everybody seems to be mentioning that phrase at the moment. So, but no, I mean, and what I really hope to have happen is where progress in Defy. You know, we have, dare I say it, you know, more shows on a more regular basis, in which more people can see it, where we continue to grow Demand Progress Plus. We have been approached by other channels and things like that to actually showcase some of Progress's material as well. But you know, it's also, we've also got other brands that, you know, are kind of within what we're doing now, such as Wrestle Tours. So we're going to be sending loads and loads of people to WrestleMania, who are also then going to be now enjoying. Some of them are going to be enjoying the Defy show, the Progress show, and you know, everything else in between. So there's a lot going on, and more so going on behind the scenes, which again I'm, you know, super excited about. But it's all part of these global aspirations, but it's about building properly and in the right way. And I will say, you know, on a personal level, is no different to the football stuff with Tranmere. You know, for the first year or so, I really have just tried to be a sponge, and I've tried to literally listen and learn to the point that if I then do say something now, I can say it to the point where I get respect. And okay, people might have, you know, different opinions of me, that's fine. But I just didn't feel when I first, you know, when Martin and I first bought Progress, I just didn't feel as though I could say to the talent certain conversations to be taken seriously, because why, you know, literally it's like, oh, well, who's this guy? He's, you know, he's come in here or whatever. But now I feel as though with the amount of wrestling that I've watched, you know, I watch a huge amount online as well, is that I feel as though I'm now able to say things with a lot more confidence, to be able to actually get my points across, and different creative aspects and things like that. And I'm just, again, I'm probably mumbling a little bit, Ben, and I apologize, but it's just such an exciting time to be a part of it with everything else, and the plans that we've got with Defy and Progress, and how that's going to intertwine moving forward. And of course, there's only one way to check it out. That's Demand Progress Plus, hashtag my cheap plug. And obviously all the other different bits. And, you know, I really hope that everybody will come down on February 25th. You know, it's going to be a fantastic show. We've got, you know, Sanity going for the tag championships, Simon Miller versus Rob Drake. And of course, there's a number of, you know, in Rio, we've not announced Rio's opponent yet, but I guarantee people are going to be raising some serious eyebrows when we announce that next week. So it's going to be a really special show with the steel cage, and you know, I really hope that everybody will come down and support independent wrestling.
You mentioned more shows. Any chance we could see more shows in my home nation of Wales?
Yeah, you know, we'd like to. I mean, to be honest with you, we were due to run another one in Cardiff, and then, you know, I can't even remember, something happened. I can't remember what it was now. And then we ended up having to change a date. And then we then couldn't change the date, further date, to actually get the tram shed. But yeah, absolutely. You know, we love going to Cardiff. We had a great show there. I have to say, I think it was the best chapter title we've ever had. You know, shout out to Paul Benson at Hooked on Events, who actually came up with that one. But no, you know, we'd like to return there. You know, the other ambition that I've got is I'd really like Progress to go to Scotland at some point. I have to say, you know, I really was a big admirer of ICW, you know, back in the day, and I know they've got some new management now, and they're looking to rebuild again, and I really hope that, you know, they can go from strength to strength. But again, it's that same idea in terms of, you know, rising ships, and hopefully we can continue to grow the sector, you know, together, because the more people are into it, the better it is for everybody, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for this interview. And just to end it, of course, tonight the Super Bowl, a big deal in America. I'm not sure if you're into American football or not, but do you have the 49ers or the Chiefs tonight?
Do you know what? I'd really like to see Taylor Swift cry, so let's go with the Niners.
Oh, the Swifties are going to be after you now.
Well,
But
I have to say it's yeah. I mean, if there's a put my money where my mouth is, I think the Chiefs will win it, but I'd like to see the Niners go the way.
well, thank you very much, Lee. It's been a great interview, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Ben, and thanks very much for all you're doing for Wrestling Republic, and hopefully see you at the ballroom on the 25th of Feb.
Absolutely.